Hello and welcome to my channel Health and Wellness with Emma Mentel. The last time I had a recording was when I was away for the weekend with the horses, and just such a beautiful time to feel restored and to just slow down, to take some deep breaths and inhale the fresh air and just feel the real presence of nature. We can so easily get distracted and overwhelmed in city life or in work life, and for so many people really juggling so many balls, especially women. I often think of women, as mothers and as wives and women in the workplace, and really trying to keep it all together and feeling like you're doing it all well and that you're not neglecting your own well-being. So that's just to mention about well-being that I think deserves a lot of attention and deserves some time to just refresh one's priorities from a well-being point of view. But I'm not exclusively talking to women. I'm just saying it from a woman's point of view, knowing that sometimes it can feel really difficult to juggle. So it's the equinox. In the northern hemisphere, it'll be the start of spring, and in the southern hemisphere where I am, it will be the start of autumn, although it doesn't feel like it at all. It feels like a really hot summer's day like last week and the week before. But I like these kind of days, like the equinox or the solstice days, or these significant markers of our year, our calendar year, as little opportunities to just review, refresh, and to just perhaps reassess where we want to go from our well-being point of view, from a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual perspective. And using this change of season as one of the ways to inform our health journey going forward, it can be really a positive consideration to say, okay, what am I letting go of and what do I want to grow? Especially going into spring, perhaps, the soil has been resting, it's been cold, and now there's signs of new life, and you can use that theme in your well-being and your health considerations as well. And for those of us in the southern hemisphere going into autumn, perhaps just reframing, what do I want to let go of? What feels like a burden? What feels heavy? What feels like it no longer nourishes me on all the different levels? Fasting for me really fits so beautifully into these kind of markers as well. So when we want to reframe our health priorities and look at ways in which we can honor our health journey, our well-being journey, ways in which we can really practice that self-love and self-care from a health point of view, from what am I choosing every day to nourish myself with. And fasting is one of those tools that will really help us to connect very deeply with our relationship with food, relationship with silence, especially when you're not eating, and that relationship with yourself. And especially when you remove food, if it is a regular distraction for you from boredom or from stress or from feeling overwhelmed, when you take that away, it can be very useful to then say, okay, how do I soothe my nervous system? How do I feel nourished even when I can't eat? What are the ways in which I numb my emotions when I feel too much? And so I like to use fasting as a tool to really help me evaluate all these different areas of my own well-being. And it has helped me to change certain patterns. Maybe it'll still take a little bit more time to completely resolve and to completely overcome some of the conditioning and the programming that one learns in a lifetime. But it certainly has been very positive for me. And I look forward to starting my new 8-week online course. You will find my details in other posts as well as on my social media, and I will put my email address here as well under the description in this post. We were supposed to kick off this evening, but I've decided to delay the start of this next 8-week course by a week. There were some participants who had to finalize a few things, and I just thought, okay, let us get through this equinox weeks. The energies are feeling incredibly intense, and I will talk more about that, because we always hear people say it's been so intense, the energies are so wild, but I do feel it really deserves a bit of a pause, and then to kick off with a new group for next week. That being said, I'm sure a lot of you have seen in the press the mentions of the study that was done and the negative press that fasting has been getting. And I know a few of my fasting community have reached out to me to ask me what my thoughts are, and I've seen the discussions from other fasting experts and people who have the same approach as me, or similar approach as me. And all I can say is, from a health practitioner's point of view, that I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that something as effective and miraculous as fasting will end up drawing some negative attention in the press, will end up being blamed for increases in heart disease, when we know full well that that is not the case. The American Heart Association, and they're not the only ones, but this was raised through them, and a study that mentions the AHA, American Heart Association. There are many similar organizations around the world who receive a lot of funding from big food and big pharma. And I agree with some of the other comments that have been made on social media by fasting experts, that there's no money to be made in fasting. It's not something you can prescribe. It's not something that you can make and sell. It's something that is so beneficial to so many people, and yet it's free. The health benefits associated with fasting are so many, from reduction in inflammation to reducing insulin resistance to resetting the gut, resetting the neurotransmitters, stem cell production, rebooting the immune system. So if we just think of these few points that I've mentioned, imagine if every person in America, every person in Europe, every person in Africa, and every person in Asia started fasting 1 or 2 days a week. The extraordinary health benefits associated with that will result. And perhaps the reduction in requirement for chronic prescription medication that might result. So the study, as far as I can see, is really flawed, even though they used 20,000 adults, but they used a 24-hour dietary recall. And I don't think that's a accurate way of actually deciding whether somebody fasted, especially, they say 8-hour fasting window, 8-hour time restricted eating resulted in a 91% increase in cardiovascular deaths. It's just, yeah, I actually don't have words. I feel like it's something that is so far-fetched that, and I'm sure this is going to get a lot of criticism, but of course there will be a lot of people who feel very fearful about fasting when they read this, especially mainstream. Mainstream has a lot of power, and a lot of people follow these kind of articles and publications or comments that are made when it sounds like propaganda. But I would really look at this as fake news. So from somebody who really believes in fasting, not just because I can sell another course or because I convince someone else, but I think fasting is really needed in the world right now. If we look at how many people are obese and ill and really not productive at all. So yeah, I'd be curious to know what you think. If you've had experience with fasting, and if you've read the article, what your thoughts were, and then perhaps to use this Equinox the next day or two to really reassess and evaluate your well-being journey. Change of seasons is always a wonderful opportunity to reevaluate. I don't think everything should always stay the same. Like in nature, there are seasons where some fruit and vegetables grow, and then there are other seasons where other fruits and vegetables grow, depending on where you are, a northern or southern hemisphere. So the change of seasons, look at your habits. Look at the habits that are perhaps harmful to your well-being, and let's get on a journey to get you well and to get you better, and to encourage you to really embrace your well-being on all levels. I look forward to hearing about your comments. Thank you for watching. Thank you also for subscribing and for sharing these videos. I appreciate all the subscribers on here, and I look forward to speaking to you in my next video.